Welcome to the very first episode of Art and About, a podcast where we dive into our city's vibrant art scene. My name is Stella.
And my name is Maria. We are thrilled to kick off our podcast with a special two-part episode featuring an incredible artist whose work has gained significant attention over the last few months. Her name is Pamela Enyonu. She sat with us and shared some insight into her recently concluded exhibition, Ateker Ijasi Biyayi, Greetings from the Road.
Pamela is a Ugandan artist renowned for her evocative and powerful pieces. She has made a name for herself with a unique and explorative style that touches on profound themes.
The impressive collection from her recently concluded exhibition, Greetings from the Road, features some amazing pieces that explore themes of migration, memory, resilience, and identity. Greetings from the Road, Part 1.
Okay, so we are here at what is this place?
It's called Summit Residence.
Okay, what is the AKKA? Because Aka,
Yes.
that's the first thing that comes up when you look up Pamela Enyonu.
Yes.
What do you prefer to be called? Pamela or?
I mean, as an artist, like you have to have like is there like an artist persona?
Well, I mean, I did try that thing, but you know, I'm a late blooming artist.
Okay.
So I found it a bit cringe.
Yeah,
To like, come on. Yeah. So I'd never think about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I started doing art in 2017.
Okay.
I was already in my 30s.
Mhm.
So basically, I thought of the art name, but I'm like, it needs marketing, it needs design, people need to know you are fresh.
Yeah.
People knew Pamela Enyonu.
Yeah.
And for me, that has worked for me.
Yeah.
That's
And it's who you've been anyway.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes up when you search Greetings from the Road
yes.
is
So ACA is an acronym of a Swiss couple. ACA is a combination of their surnames. The gentleman is called Kachaturian and the lady is called Costi.
so are they in any way involved in
This production. Well, I brought them on towards the end of the production. Their gallery, they have 3 locations in Dubai, Lugano, and in Venice. So I met them in 2020. They were doing a group exhibition for women. There was a Mozambican, a Nigerian, a Ugandan, I think somebody from Ghana. So it was a group of 6 really incredible women, and that's the first time I met them. I was recommended to them through an artist called Ronix. I don't know if you know him. And in 2020, when they wanted to do the exhibition, 2021, I think, when they wanted to do the exhibition, they reached out to me and I was able to collaborate with them. So I've done 2 residencies at their gallery in Venice, one in 2022 and one in 2023. So in short, when you Google, and I've done quite a lot of projects with them. I've done quite a couple of museum shows with them. I've done fairs with them. So they're a really huge collaborating partner in my exhibition. So when we did this exhibition, Lydia was like, how can I help? I'm like, at the moment, we don't have an art dealer. We're a curator, a collective, and an artist.
Okay.
We don't have an art dealer, so are you willing to come on as an art dealer? She's like, yeah, why not? I'm honored. So she came on as an art dealer.
Okay.
Okay, so please tell us about Greetings from the Road. Really interesting title. And the full name is
I've been practicing Ateker Ijasi Biyayi. It sounds very nice.
It's a good
I love
word.
it. Yeah.
I mean, when we were coming up with the title of this exhibition, I wanted to use a title that connects to my first solo exhibition when I did my residency at 32 East.
Okay.
So that exhibition in 2017 was called Ego Priestess, which means knowledge of self. When I was doing that residency, I was just trying to get to know myself through my body, through the bodies of others. And it was just one of those really layered things that I did. I actually called it an exorcism. And when I was thinking about this exhibition, I was taking stock of how I've grown, who has been on my path, what has happened. So hence the title, Ateker Ijasi Biyayi. So Ateker in Ateso means kin,
Okay.
but it can also mean tribe, it can also mean a family,
Like a unit.
yes, it can mean clan. But I also know that in the larger context of anthropology, it also means people from the people, the Kwaka, the Kakwa, the Kuma.
This like Nilotic?
Yes,
Or-
it is an ethnic group.
Okay.
So the whole Ateker is actually much bigger than
Just
it is what.
Okay.
And I was thinking of the fact that my family had also grown as kin.
Yeah.
I had in-laws from Uganda, I have in-laws from West, I have in-laws like the kinship had grown
It
bigger
doesn't
than
just-
just blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ateker Ijasi Biyayi literally means kin, how are you? Greetings from the road.
It does like it sounds very like a brother sister kind of greeting. Even when you translate it into English, it still has that strength, like greetings from the road.
Yes.
Somebody has greeted you, like they are happy to see you. They haven't even let you come into the house. They're greeting you
From there.
From there.
Yeah, because I mean, in our culture, I tell people I'm culturally Uganda, but those days when we used to grow up, and you go to somebody's compound, you would shout, "Abeno, Ijasi, Muri Mutia." Muri Mutia. So I like the beauty of the oral knock. You know, it gives room for arrival. You know, because instead of just you hearing the knock, you know, and it's usually frightening.
And again, no, it's very mysterious.
Mysterious.
You hear someone's voice, you're like,
I know this person. I do not know this person. There's a certain comfort and familiarity in an oral knock.
And even with the title Ateker, it's very good that it's so inclusive, because in your exhibition you use different languages, like for the title. So I like that. I like that part.
I like that it's like welcoming to, especially for a country like Uganda that has a lot of tribes, a lot of
It was a very deliberate thing, because when I started to work on this body, or rather to put this exhibition together, I was very aware of all the tribal tensions. In fact, one of the ones you've chosen, certain materials, gave me a lot of anxiety, because it was like,
she's referring to one of the pieces that we will be talking about later.
It gave me a lot of anxiety because it could be read in multiple ways. And I was like, even if it was read in multiple ways, it's one of those archetypal, compositions. So it's okay that people will find kinship in it in these multiple ways. So there was a lot of considered decision in presenting myself with
relating to.
Yes, it was wide of an audience as I could possibly manage.
Okay.
Migration is it's one of the key things that we're picking up from your exhibition. Different cultures, different.
Migration is quite a very sensitive topic for me, because my people are nomadic. So for me, migration has always been a birthright. And even the way we are taught of it, we're only temporarily here because we are here, but we don't know what happens in the next 30 years. There is the internal migration, there's the border migration, there is the continental migration. I wanted to talk on this idea of migration and my relationship I have with it. I do feel migration is natural, depending on the stimulus that causes you to move from one place to another. We all like to feel like, should this place become unfavorable, there is room for me to want to find a favorable place. And in centering the conversation around migration, there was a video that is in here. And also I was thinking about my relationship as an immigrant in Uganda. My parents immigrated to Uganda for school, stayed, worked, and raised children in Uganda. So now I am here, a first generation Uganda, because I've been on this land, being fed of this land, being nourished by this land, eating of its customs. And when I was in Italy, I was comparing the relationship I had back at home here
as like an outside coming in.
Yes. And then also I was considering my relationship as an African in Italy, exhibiting in a museum that was gifted to Italian artists. So there was a lot of back and forth asking myself if I have even the right.
Yeah, who am I? How do I fit in?
How do I fit into this space? And I think all of us at any one point on our life's journey will ask ourselves that question.
Yeah.
I happen to find myself here. What am I here in this place? You know, what have I brought with me? You know, what memories have I brought with me? What customs have I brought with me? You know, what am I taking out of here? So it's a give and take relationship.
Okay.
And even looking at it from a Uganda on refugee policy, we take in some of the highest numbers of refugees in the world.
Yes.
And people are quite shocked what we give refugees.
Yeah.
We give refugees land, they have access to healthcare, they have access to education.
Yes.
And we look at them as kin. We don't look at them as, oh my God, y'all coming in and taking of our resources.
Yeah, no, they're part of us, the integration and everything.
Yeah. So
they're very welcome, like.
Yes. And also we discuss the terms of the welcome, you know?
Yeah.
And this is a conversation that I think the world could learn from countries like Uganda. Like, discuss the terms. You know, people are not there to cause trouble. Obviously, we are not a monolith as strangers, as travelers, as nomads. I see myself as a nomad. We're not a monolith. And so for me, immigration is a very layered topic, as you'll notice with all my other work. One, I work from a place of I don't have enough time to speak on single issues. So I try to create these complex layers so that if you walk and look at a piece and you just like the material, good, you've taken that. Okay. If you have 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and you start to unpack it, and then you reach out to me, you ask a question. So the layer and the netting of the people's attention that I can grab, you know, enlarges.
I think we can use that conversation to segue into like breaking down these pieces and start with the one that actually talks about being an immigrant. So like you said you are an honorary Uganda or
Culturally Uganda.
Culturally Uganda. So tell us about that piece. What's it called?
The social nature studies.
Social nature studies.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So I love this piece because it combines so many things about my practice. Like that's my 7 years of me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Because it displays my capabilities as a maker.
Okay.
Things that I've been able to make.
Yeah.
It also shows my growth as an artist. So it's one of those pieces that sort of centers home as a place for me. You know, place as a maker, place as a worker, place as a person that's bred. And also it's quite personal for me because matoke is my mother's favorite meal.
Yeah.
And so to put it there is to say that this is a place I love.
It's like some
owning it.
Yes, it's close to me. Like I would fight for Uganda. Like I go to war on its behalf. You know? And it's one of those pieces that I also completed while I was away. I was in the UK and I was doing an exhibition with my partner's mother, who's also an artist. And the title of that exhibition was Meanings of Home.
Okay.
And when I was working on this piece, I was looking at what that meant for me as personally, but also what that meant for me as a person coming from Uganda, as a Ugandan who has a relationship with the UK, which is our former colonial masters. So it's one of those layered pieces where I was like, in the UK, I'm a Uganda. In Uganda, I could be an Iteson, I could be Kumam, but in the UK, I'm a Muganda. For these exact reasons.
Okay.
You know? And then in me declaring that I'm culturally Muganda, it's when I think about, I'll give you a quick example. When I think of Akwanjula, guess which customs are we borrowing from?
First, most of our conjulas are, lying around the central
region. You know, because I asked my mother, when my sister was getting married, I remember asking my dad, what are the cultural customs for getting married in Teso or in Kabaramaido? And my dad was like, for us, it was an Indo's affair. People who were interested in the girl approached the auntie, tell the auntie that we want your girl, we've observed her and we want her. And then the parents will come secretly to negotiate dowry with the brothers of the sisters.
So was it ceremonial or?
after the dowry is negotiated, you could even go.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was no
There was no hula balloon.
Okay.
I feel like that's how most cultures were. I think that's how my parents also sort of did it.
Like it wasn't a whole, let's
Yes.
get together, let's
Yes.
celebrate.
Unless, of course, you were highly placed, like a chief scripter, whereby your marriage is a political understanding.
Okay.
Your marriage is a
Okay,
celebration.
like there's a
Yes, or family. But if you're an ordinary girl, like
you just go, it's like normal life.
yeah,
You just go.
yes,
that's
it's
another
just a part of a thing, and. But now there's a hybrid of what is a marriage ceremony. We've picked from the Hindu movies we've watched, we've picked from the Nigerian.
Yeah.
So even if you take apart what a ceremony looks like, that you'd be hard pressed
To find something original.
You'd really be hard pressed. But the way in which we embrace it is also beautiful. There's
no need for us to be so rigid and say,
yes,
this is how we do
yes. There's an understanding that knowledge is updated.
Shareable.
Customs also updated.
I wanted to ask though,
Yeah.
with the colors that you use and also with the matoke, is it some sort of tribute to the land?
Yes.
Is that how?
Yes. For me, these colors are comforting.
Yeah.
They are warm. When you eat hot matoke, like matoke that has been cooked the way it has been cooked, this is a plant that enters the banana leaves while it's white.
Yes.
And then it comes out yellow and soft and steaming. And then if you have the right sauce, it's perfect. Like, guys. So for me, those colors are a tribute to the warmness. Even outside of, the sunshine and between, just that internal warmness, and how it's expressed.
Yeah.
So
I get that. In fact, it for me, again, looking at this, it is home. It is home. The things about home that you like.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
We can go on to my favorite next piece.
Yes.
Which was Nambi Oweguru. And I understand it's part of a number of goddess-centered pieces. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
When I was thinking about Nambi, I was like, there's about 62 tribes in this country. And we only know about 4 creation stories in collective memory.
True.
Like, individual memory, you might be knowing more. But in collective memory, we know like 4, give or take, Kipiri and Labongo, Nambi, Chintu, Nandi, Masaba.
Actually, most of the stories tend to have like guy, the heroes.
Yes.
Like,
and it's also very binary, right? So I went on this journey of, okay, how does somebody create a god or a goddess?
Yeah.
And why do they need to create a god or a goddess? And it led me to this path of identity, of how you see yourself. In 2020, I did a group exhibition with a couple of fantastic ladies, and we were discussing divine femininity. And as a darker skinned woman who came from northern Uganda, it was very difficult to see myself as a thing of divinity, not of beauty. I know I'm cute.
Okay.
But
what do you mean cute?
very, very beautiful. But it was difficult for me to sort of arrive at that place whereby I have the same reverence when I stand in front of a statue of Mary, or the same reverence when I stand in front of a statue of Jesus. Because I grew up in a Catholic school, you guys. We did the way of the cross of, standing in front of each thing. And there were no women that looked like me.
No.
From an early age.
Yeah.
All the literature I was reading, I was either reading about Greek goddesses, I was reading about everybody else but people who look like me. It was later when I started discovering the Egyptian pantheons. Then I was like, oh, wait now, hold on a minute.
So now a little bit,
more related.
I was like, wait a minute. So it's when I went on that course of like, most of us consider ourselves religious. And one of the first places you start designing your identity is either on your God or your parents, depending on the relationship that you have
Sometimes they're synonymous
with healthy things. So you're like, oh, I want to be, it's not, I've looked at a lot of people's profiles, it's like, oh, Jesus fast, God fast. So there's a lot of people that are designing their personalities based on
God.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because we don't trust man. We don't trust the fallibilities of man. We don't trust the inadequacies of man. But we believe that there might be something that's bigger and larger than man. But if you're a young child forming your identity and your God does not have your face, when will you ever believe in yourself?
That's not a question to be answered.
No.
Because
So for me, I was like, okay, I'm a student of history, a student of anthropology, a student of sociology. And I was like, as an artist, how do I interrupt this normative narrative?
Yeah.
How do I interrupt this conversation and say, listen, you once worshipped a person that looked like me, or that looked like yourself. Forget about me.
Yeah.
That looked like you. When did that and how did that worship be changed? How was it interrupted?
Yeah.
You know, because this is how I look at colonization and the things that it gave us. They were an interruption in our evolution.
That's true.
See, so if we were supposed to grow in certain ways, you know, we were, for the last 500 years, that growth has been interrupted.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make gods and goddesses firstly for the little girl that was me, and then secondly for us to have a conversation around religion and identity and ideals, imagination as a tool of resistance, you know, storytelling as a place of resistance. Archives. How do you keep things in collective memory? You keep things in collective memory by re-engaging with them. Each generation has the duty to engage with the culture of the past, because that's how you keep things in collective memory.
That's
now,
so true.
Things that were sort of taken away from collective memory for people like me, how do I reintroduce them? There might be somebody who knows more than me.
Yeah.
That can say, "Hi, babe.
Let me correct you here."
But then we begin to have this collective conversation. So we spark this imagination for you as what you are, you know, me, and the conversations you will have with your kids, your nieces and your wife, you know, around their identity, around how they see themselves. And for me, I felt like this was a good opportunity to do it. So my first deity was called Ateker. The second deity is a goddess of beauty, who's currently in my studio. Then there's another deity of peace, who's also in my studio. And then Nambi, and then the others. Okay. So I think what I want to do after this is try and explore the imagined world of these deities. Yeah. If a decade truly then is a decade, what does she like? What does she stand for? Yeah. Because if you're going to make a god, what does your god stand for? Yeah. What rouses them from slumber? What makes them come to fight to act? Yeah. So I'm interested in also foundationing these gods in what I call the collective morality, the collective means, the things we do now and the things we hope to become. Yeah.
That was part 1 of Greetings from the Road with Pamela Enyonu at Summit Residencies. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to join us again next week for part 2 of Greetings from the Road.